Betrayed at Meteorfall, I evolve alone. The night the meteors fell, everything I knew burned with them. The city, my family, my future. But what cut deepest wasn't the fire from the sky. It was the knife in my back, delivered by the person I trusted most. Hyun-woo Lee, my fiancé, my promise of safety, cast me aside in front of them all. And Sena stood at his side, smiling as the mob's fists tore into me. That was the day I died, or the day I should have died. But fate had other plans. The meteors carried more than fire. Something alive, something that chose me. When the world betrayed me, the meteors remade me. Act 1. Betrayal. She's the plague doctor's daughter. She brought this on us. Hyun-woo's words hit harder than any fist. My chest froze. Sena laughed beside him, sharp and sweet like breaking glass. Her hand slid into his. He didn't just abandon me. He condemned me. The mob turned. Eyes narrowed. A man shouted, "Cursed!" Fists followed. Pain exploded across my face. Heat. Blood. Iron on my tongue. I reached for Hyun-woo. "Wait!" He turned his back. Sena smirked, leaning into him like I was already dead. The mob swallowed me whole. Boots to ribs, rocks to shoulders, fingers tearing hair, my screams drowned under theirs. Father's voice, Dr. Han fighting somewhere behind me, but I couldn't see him through the bodies. Another blow sent me crashing down. My lungs refused air. Meteors smashed into towers above. The city screamed. All I saw was Hyun-woo walking away, his arm around Sena. My body broke, my heart shattered, but I didn't die. Not yet. The world faded to black, and somewhere in the distance, I heard my father scream my name one last time. I woke to smoke and silence. My body was a map of agony. Every breath felt like swallowing glass. I tried to move and pain exploded through my ribs. How long had I been unconscious? Minutes? Hours? I forced my eyes open. The street was emptier now. Bodies scattered everywhere. Some still moving, most not. The mob had moved on to easier targets. I was alone. Smoke filled my lungs as I clawed through rubble, nails tearing, knees slipping over shattered glass. The lab entrance gaped ahead, half buried, calling me home. Father. My voice came out as ash. I had to reach him, had to know if he'd survived. I pushed against the collapsed doorway. Stone scraped skin from my palms. The door gave way with a groan that sounded almost human. Inside, ruin. Sparks leapt from broken machines. Shattered vials leaked silver across the floor, pooling like mercury. And Father, Dr. Han, lay among the wreckage. Still. Too still. Wake up. My voice cracked. Please. I pressed bloody hands to his chest. Shook his shoulders. His skin was cooling. His eyes stared past me, fixed on nothing. The tablet with his research lay beside him. Cracked. Screen dead. Just like him, something tore from my throat. Not a scream. Not a sob. Something raw and broken. I slammed my fists into the floor until they split, until blood pooled beneath them. Outside, the world burned. People ran. Meteors fell. Monsters crawled from craters, twisted, hungry. Nobody looked at me. Nobody cared. Plague doctor's daughter. Hyun-woo's words replayed, over and over. My fists clenched, and I felt the silver blood from Father's vials seeping into my broken skin, mixing with my own. I was done crying. The silver found me. At first I thought it was just Father's blood on my hands. But then it moved, crawled up my arms like it was alive, seeking my wounds. Pain devoured me. My body throbbed with every heartbeat. Vision fading, darkness creeping in. The silver seeped into the gashes on my palms, into the cuts covering my arms. Then, heat. A pulse beneath my skin. I looked down. My veins glowed faint silver, light crawling through them like liquid fire. Wounds closed before my eyes, cuts sealed. Bruises faded. Blood stopped. I screamed as warmth grew, searing every nerve. tearing me apart, stitching me back together. This was Father's nanotech, the substance everyone feared, the same alien technology that came with the meteors, and it was remaking me. A growl cut through the pain. A mutant, wolf-like, jaw split too wide, eyes burning red, dragged itself through rubble. Claws scraped stone. It lunged, instinct took over, my hand found steel rebar. I swung hard, crack! The bar crushed its skull. It collapsed, twitching. Blood steamed on broken concrete. My arms shook, not from weakness, from power. I stared at my hands, at the silver pulsing beneath my skin, at the strength that shouldn't exist. I wasn't broken anymore. I wasn't prey. Something alien whispered in my veins. Promising strength, demanding survival. For the first time since Hyun-woo's betrayal, I smiled. I left Father's body in the lab. It hurt more than any beating, but I couldn't stay. Couldn't waste time mourning when survival demanded action. I scavenged through shattered shelves in the storage room. Half-burned bandages, a dented canteen, crackers crushed to dust. Not much, but enough to start. I sat in the corner of the ruined lab, forcing food down. My ribs still ached from the beating, but the nanotech hummed inside me, stitching what it could. Hyun-woo's voice kept replaying. Don't protect her. His cold eyes. Sena's smirk. The mob's fists. Rage clawed hotter than grief. They left me for dead. Thought I was weak. I looked at the rebar, still dripping monster blood. My grip tightened around the metal. I'll survive. The words scraped out. I'll grow stronger. Stronger than all of you. One day, Hyun-woo and Sena would choke on the same words they used to destroy me. Too late. That would be my revenge. I stood, slung the salvage pack over my shoulder. The fires of soul burned outside. Meteors still fell. Creatures prowled the streets. But I wasn't Ji-yoon-han, the abandoned girl left for dead anymore. I was reborn in ash. And I was coming for them. First, though, I needed to test these new powers. Needed to know what I'd truly become. 3 days of skulking through ruins taught me one truth. The nanotech didn't make me invincible. It made me dangerous. I'd avoided people. Avoided mutants when I could. Practiced forming the silver into crude shapes when I was alone. But eventually they found me. 3 of them shambled through the ruined street. Flesh rotting, eyes glowing with nanotech corruption. They saw me. My heart hammered. Every instinct screamed run. Nowhere to run. The first lunged. I threw myself sideways, hit the ground hard. Pain flared. Not invincible yet. The second reached for me. Claws outstretched. Cold fingers. I grabbed rebar without thinking. Swung wild. Missed. It grabbed my arm. Rotting grip. Death cold. Panic flooded through me. Then heat. The nanotech surged. Not from my mind. From deeper. Pure instinct. Silver erupted from my palm. Sharp, jagged, uncontrolled. Stabbing through corrupted flesh. It dropped. I stared at the blade. At what just came from my own hand. No time. The other 2 circled closer. Again, I willed it. Demanded it. Silver responded. Slower. Uncertain. But it came. A blade. Crude. Imperfect. Enough, I swung. Cut. Struck. They fell. All 3 bodies twitched. Then stilled. My chest heaved. Heart pounding so hard it hurt. I did that. I killed them. The nanotech pulsed beneath my skin. Warm. Almost pleased. And underneath the fear, underneath the shock, satisfaction. I wasn't helpless anymore. Not the girl Hyun-woo abandoned. Not weak. Never again. But I needed more than just power. I needed answers. Father's research might hold the key. The lab's back entrance still stood. Barely. I'd avoided returning for days, but the questions wouldn't stop. What was this power? What had Father truly created? What was I becoming? I picked through twisted metal and shattered concrete. The main hall had collapsed. Father died there, but the storage wing might have survived. My fingers traced the doorframe. Scorch marks. Blood. His blood. I pushed the memory down and slipped inside. Darkness swallowed me. Emergency lights flickered weakly. Shadows moved like living things. My eyes adjusted faster than they should. The nanotech's doing. I navigated by memory. Past equipment rooms, specimen freezers, toward Father's private office, the one he never let anyone enter. Not even me. The door hung crooked. I shouldered through, inside, chaos. Files scattered. Monitors smashed. Someone had searched here already. Looters. Or worse. Survivors looking for supplies, for answers, for someone to blame. But they didn't know where to look. I knelt beside Father's desk. Pried up the false bottom he'd shown me only once. Years ago, when he'd said, "If anything happens to me, this is yours." The hidden compartment, clicked open. A data drive, sleek, unmarked, notebook. Handwritten. Father's. Cramped script covered every page. My hands shook as I flipped through. Day 47. The nanotech exhibits unprecedented adaptive capabilities. It doesn't just heal, it evolves. Enhances. But at what cost? Day 89. Subject testing suspended. The transformation is irreversible. We're not ready. Day 132. They're coming from beyond our system. The meteors are just the beginning. Carriers. Delivery mechanisms for something far worse. My breath caught. Day 147. If you're reading this, Ji-Yun, then I've failed. The nanotech will choose you. It's coded to your DNA. Don't fight it. But don't let it consume you. You'll need to be stronger than I ever was. The page blurred. Tears I didn't know I was crying. He knew. He knew this would happen. He prepared me. I clutched the notebook to my chest, slipped the data drive into my pocket. Father's final gift. His research. His warnings. His hope that I'd survive. Outside, something howled. Close. Getting closer. I wiped my eyes and headed for the exit. The notebook felt heavier than it should. Not with weight, with responsibility, with purpose. I needed to survive long enough to understand this power, to master it, and to find food. The nanotech was burning through my energy faster than I expected. 3 days without real food. The nanotech kept me alive, kept me moving, but it demanded fuel I didn't have. My stomach screamed. Cramps doubled me over. I'd scavenged everything edible from the nearby ruins. Now I needed to hunt. Actually hunt movement ahead. A deer, twisted, corrupted. Nanotech glowed under mottled hide. Eyes rolled white. Antlers split into wrong angles, but it was still meat. The deer bolted. I chased without thinking. My legs pumped faster than they should. The nanotech pushed me forward, made me faster, stronger. I caught it within seconds. Silver flowed through my palm. The blade formed sharper than before. One strike through the neck. It dropped. I stared at the body. Then my hands moved on instinct. Skin it, gut it. Cut away the corrupted parts until I found flesh that might be safe. The first bite tasted like death and ash. I swallowed anyway. The second went down easier. By the third, I stopped thinking. Just eating, just surviving. The nanotech hummed beneath my skin, pleased with the fuel, stronger. I felt it happening. Muscles tightening, reflexes sharpening, power building with each heartbeat. I finished and wiped my mouth. Blood and silver streaked across my skin. In the distance, smoke rose from what looked like a settlement. People, resources, maybe information, but not yet. Not until I knew if I could control myself around them. The last thing I needed was to lose control and prove Hyun-woo's lies true. I turned away and headed deeper into the ruins, still hungry for more than just food, hungry for answers, for justice, for revenge. 2 days later, I found another settlement, not the one I'd seen smoking in the distance. This was smaller, more desperate. I crouched behind rubble, watching the settlement from the shadows. 20 people, maybe more. They huddled around fires, passing rations, sharing water, survivors. My stomach twisted, not from hunger this time, from longing. I could walk down there, ask for help, find safety in numbers, but then voices drifted up, clear in the quiet night. Heard she's still alive, the plague doctor's daughter. My blood went cold. Hyun-woo said she caused all this. Her father's experiments, she's cursed. Anyone near her dies. Monster. That's what she is now. Infected by her own father's creation. The words stabbed deeper than any blade. I pressed against the concrete, hands shaking, silver pulsing beneath my skin. They believed him. Every lie. Every twisted word. Hyun-woo had poisoned them all against me. If you see her, run. Don't let her near the camp. Better yet, kill her. Before she kills us. Rage built in my chest. Hot, suffocating. I could kill them. All of them. The nanotech whispered promises. Power surged through my veins. Eager. Do it. Show them what a monster really looks like. My hand formed a blade without thinking. Silver gleamed in moonlight, but I stopped. Killing them wouldn't prove anything. Wouldn't change their minds. It would only prove Hyun-woo right. I let the blade dissolve back into my skin. Turned away from the settlement. From their warmth. Their safety. Their lies. My jaw clenched so hard it hurt. Let them fear me. Let them spread Hyun-woo's poison. One day, they'd learn the truth. One day, they'd beg for my protection. And I'd remember this moment. Remember every word. I disappeared into the darkness, leaving them to their fires and their ignorance, alone. But maybe being alone was safer. For everyone. I tried one more time, just once more, to see if I could find a place among the survivors. The warehouse looked safe, intact walls, sturdy roof, no signs of mutants, and voices inside. Survivors. I hesitated at the entrance. Every instinct screamed to walk away, to stay alone, safe from betrayal, but the cold bit deeper each night. My supplies were running low, and part of me, the part that was still human, desperately, wanted to believe not everyone was like Hyun-woo. Maybe this time would be different. Pushed the door open. 12 faces turned toward me. Eyes widened. Hands reached for weapons. Please. My voice came out rough. I just need shelter. One night, an older woman stepped forward. Gray hair, kind eyes. You're alone? I nodded. Come in then. We don't turn away the desperate. Relief flooded through me. Maybe, wait. A man grabbed the woman's arm. Younger, scarred face. Look at her hands. I glanced down. Silver lines traced my palms. Faint but visible in the firelight. She's infected, he hissed. No, it's not like that. I'm not. Liar! He shoved the woman aside. Drew a knife. You're one of them. One of the mutants. Others stood. Circled closer. Fear in their eyes turning to hate. Just like before. The plague doctor's daughter. Someone whispered. It's her. My chest tightened. I'm not dangerous. I haven't hurt anyone. Yet. The scarred man lunged. The nanotech reacted faster than thought. Silver erupted. Caught his blade. Twisted it from his grip. He stumbled back. See? Monster. They rushed me. All of them. I didn't want this. Didn't want to hurt them. But survival came first. Silver flashed. I disarmed them. Threw them back. Not killing. Just defending. They scattered. Screaming. Running. The kind woman stared at me from the ground. Horror on her face. Get out. Get out! I backed toward the door. Hands shaking. I'm sorry, I whispered. But they weren't listening. I ran into the night. Their screams chasing me. Alone again. Always alone. The nanotech pulsed. Satisfied with the violence, but I wasn't. I collapsed against a wall 3 blocks away. Pressed my forehead to cold concrete. They'd never accept me. No one would. Hyun-woo had made sure of that. I was a monster in their eyes. Would always be. So maybe I should stop pretending otherwise. Maybe I should embrace it. After all, monsters didn't need friends. Didn't need acceptance. They just needed to survive. The next day, everything changed. The ground shook beneath my feet. I snapped upright and grabbed my pack. Another tremor hit, stronger this time. Rubble cascaded from nearby buildings. Then I saw it. 15 feet tall, covered in crystallized nanotech that glowed like burning coals. What used to be human, maybe several humans fused together, was now something else entirely, a meteor mutant. The worst kind. It turned toward me, multiple eyes fixed on my position, mouths opened across its body, screaming in horrible unison. I ran. The creature followed, each step cracking pavement. Its roar shattered windows 3 blocks away. I ducked into an alley, too narrow for something that size. I was wrong. It smashed through the walls like they were paper. Concrete exploded around me in deadly shrapnel. A chunk hit my shoulder and I went down hard. The mutant loomed above, raising a massive arm studded with bone spikes. This was it. I was going to die here. No, the nanotech surged through me different this time. Not just blades. Survive. Adapt. Overcome. The arm came down like a falling building. I threw my hands up and silver erupted, not a blade this time. A shield. Solid, curved, gleaming bright. The impact drove me into the ground and cracked my knees. But the shield held. The mutant screamed and pulled back, confused by the resistance. I stared at my hands, at the shield that shouldn't exist. A second ability. The creature charged again. I rolled aside and let the shield dissolve, reforming it instantly as a blade. I slashed at its leg. Silver cut deep and black blood sprayed across broken pavement. It stumbled and bellowed in pain, but it didn't fall. Too strong. Too massive. I needed more power. Give me more. The nanotech answered my desperation. Heat flooded my body with power beyond anything before. My muscles swelled, bones reinforced themselves, and my speed doubled in seconds. The world slowed around me. I moved like lightning. Blade through its knee, severing tendons. It crashed down hard enough to shake the street. I climbed its massive body and drove Silver straight into what might have been a brain. The mutant convulsed and thrashed, then finally went still. I stood on its corpse with my chest heaving. Silver receded slowly back into my skin. My whole body shook. But not from fear, from exhilaration. I'd unlocked something new, something powerful and deadly. The nanotech whispered its approval, already hungry for more challenges. I looked at my hands and at what I'd become. Not just surviving anymore. Evolving. And if this was what I needed to become to make them pay, so be it. But first, I needed to know exactly what Hyun-woo had built in my absence, needed to understand the full scope of what I was up against. I found them huddled in an abandoned gas station the next morning. A family. Mother, father, young boy. They clutched each other as I approached, eyes wide with fear. "Please," the father said, stepping in front of his wife and child. "We have nothing. Just let us go." I stopped several feet away and raised my empty hands. "I'm not here to hurt you. I just want information." The mother's eyes darted to my hands, to the silver lines barely visible on my palms. "You're infected," she whispered. "I'm not dangerous. Not to them, anyway. I just need to know, where did you come from?" They exchanged glances. The father spoke carefully. "The settlement. North District. Leader named Hyun-woo." My chest tightened. "Hyun-woo Lee? You know him?" Hope flickered in the woman's eyes. "He's amazing. Took us in, gave us food, protection. He saved so many people." Bile rose in my throat. "Saved you? Yes," the boy piped up. "Mr. Hyun-woo says we're safe as long as we stay together. He protects us from the monsters." The father nodded. "He's building something real. A community. People trust him. He warned us, though," the mother added, "about the plague doctor's daughter. Said she's out here, infected, trying to spread the disease." I went very still. What else did he say? That she's dangerous. A monster. That we should report any sightings immediately. The woman clutched her son closer. "They say she killed her own father. That she's responsible for all of this." Each word was a knife. The father studied me carefully. You're not her, are you?" I should have lied. Should have walked away. But rage burned too hot. "Yes," I said quietly. "I'm Ji-yoon-han," the mother screamed. Grabbed her child and ran. The father stumbled backward, fumbling for a weapon. "Wait, I'm not—" "Monster!" he shouted. "Stay away from us!" They fled into the ruins. Their footsteps echoed long after they disappeared. I stood alone in the gas station, hands shaking. Hyun-woo hadn't just survived. He'd thrived. Built a kingdom on my corpse while I scraped by in the ruins, and he'd poisoned everyone against me. Turned me into the villain of his story. The hero and the monster. I laughed. The sound came out bitter and broken. He thought I was dangerous now? He thought I was a monster? Fine. I'd show him what a real monster looked like. I'd show all of them. And when I was done, Hyun-woo's perfect little kingdom would burn to ash, just like he'd tried to burn me. But first, I needed to complete my transformation. Needed to become something he could never destroy. I returned to Father's lab one last time. The main hall was still ruins. Concrete and steel twisted together like broken bones. Blood stained the floor where he'd fallen. I knelt in that exact spot. My fingers traced the dark stain. Days old now, dried and cracked. I'm sorry, Father. My voice echoed in the empty space. I'm sorry I couldn't save you. The nanotech pulsed beneath my skin. Silver light flickered across my hands. His final words came back to me from the notebook. Don't let it consume you. You'll need to be stronger than I ever was. I looked at my hands, at the power flowing through them. You were wrong about one thing, I whispered. I do need to let it consume me, because being stronger isn't enough. I stood and walked to the center of the lab, to where Father had kept his most dangerous equipment. The meteor fragments, still glowing, still alive with alien energy. I picked one up. It burned against my palm, searing hot. The nanotech in my body surged toward it, hungry, desperate. I should have dropped it, should have been afraid. Instead, I gripped it tighter. Pain exploded through me. Silver light erupted from every vein, every pore. The fragment melted into my skin, fusing completely with the nanotech already there. I screamed, but I didn't let go. The transformation tore through me. My body rebuilt itself at the cellular level, stronger, faster, deadlier. When it finally stopped, I collapsed to my knees, gasping. Everything hurt. Everything burned. Everything was perfect. I looked at my hands. The silver ran deeper now, visible even without willing it forward. My reflection in a broken monitor showed eyes that gleamed with inner light. Not human anymore. Not fully. But I didn't care. Father's death, Hyun-woo's betrayal, every moment of pain and humiliation. I spoke to the empty lab, to Father's ghost, to myself. I'll turn it all into fuel. I stood on shaking legs. Steadier with each breath, I'll burn away every weakness, every doubt, every trace of the girl who trusted him. The nanotech hummed in approval, no longer separate from me. We were one. And when I'm strong enough, when I've built something he can't destroy, I'll make them all see the truth. I walked toward the exit, toward the ruins of Seoul, toward my future, Hyun-woo, Sena, everyone who believed their lies. My voice was steel. They'll learn what happens when you leave someone for dead. I paused at the doorway, looked back one last time at where Father had died protecting his work, protecting me. Thank you, Father, for everything, for the strength, for the knowledge, for preparing me. I touched the data drive in my pocket. His research, his legacy, my weapon. I won't let your death be meaningless. I'll survive. I'll rise. And I'll make sure the world remembers your name. I stepped into the ash-filled streets, not as the plague doctor who doomed humanity. Silver spread across my skin like armor, but as the father of its salvation. The hunt was over. The ascension had begun.
Thanks for watching. Part 2 coming soon. Stay tuned.